So I finished the last short video by looking at this graph and explaining why this graph is a bar graph, but since it does not represent frequencies, it is actually misleading. It looks like these things go from 0 to 90 when in fact 90 is just the average. And so we don't know what the minimum is, we don't know what the maximum is, we don't know anything else. So the thing is that in these situations there are better options, and so we should use the better options rather than relying on the bar graph simply because it's simple to do. Okay. Now, another thing about these graphs is that 2D is better than 3D. I just showed you that particular graph, and again, it's a 3D bar graph. What does it add to the 2D version? Really nothing except some confusion in the perspective. Okay. Here is another example of a whimsical kind of 3D bar graph. But again, what do we gain by doing a 3D? First of all, to get a 3D graph. A bar graph, what we need to look at it in perspective, and that's going to distort all the relative sizes and also the individual measurements. So try not to do a 3D bar graph unless you really want to impress your buyers. Now there are also many variants that I said. Some of them are good, some of them can add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of pizzazz, but sometimes they subtract clarity. One of the most important one is something called a pictograph or pictogram. For instance, this is a bar graph, but instead of bars, we have all those tick marks that have been checked off. And although, again, it gives us the definite feeling that we're counting whatever it is, or we're counting frequencies, but certainly, all those tick marks don't really add anything, and in fact, probably they detract from the purpose of the bar graph. Notice also that in this particular bar graph, we're trying to figure out which colors are favorites, and so which color are more preferred by some people, which ones are less. Well, that's a nominal variable, so those bars shouldn't really be in that order, but should be from the most to the least popular. Another one that we can see is here, where people are trying again to look at colors, but this time of cars. And so instead of drawing bars, we're drawing pictures of cars. Once again, it doesn't really add anything to the information presented. It's fun to have, to see pictures of those cars, but in terms of the information, it does not do much. And once again, the variable here is nominal, and yet the bars are not ordered according to the frequency from the most to the least popular, and that means that if we want to make any comparison, we have to go fish among all the different bars to figure out which one is the most favored, which one is the second one, and so on and so on. There are other problems that can occur with bar graphs, like for any other graphs, but again, we're going to see many of those in class, or you're going to discover them on your own through your own experience.